All right, awesome. Y'all can hear me? Thumbs up.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so today we're talking about lead generation, where and how to create your own leads, especially as a financial coach, but this can apply to any aspect of life coaching. The reason why we're going to frame this the way we are is because lead generation is where you get your clients, right? Yeah, there is no business if you don't actively look for clients. And so in today's session, we're going to talk about a higher level overview of lead generation to get you the rhythm of thinking what leads are, how do we interact with them, and things like that, and how to find them. And then over the next couple weeks, we're going to look at more specifics in different ways you can prospect and look for leads. So, what are leads? Really, leads. Oh, hold on, sorry. Leads are people who are interested in your service and you can contact them, right? So, someone who identifies that they need some kind of change with their personal finances or their health or whatever aspect, maybe their relationship, and they're showing you interest, liking your posts and things like that. And then you can contact them, whether it's DM, email, call, in person, whichever. And so, we talked about what we're offering and who we're trying to offer it for in some of the previous calls. And this is super important because then you need to know where they are and who they are, right? What is their demographic? Are you looking for an older population or younger population? That changes where they congregate. Yeah, that could be social media for some of the younger ones, or maybe Facebook for some of your millennials or Gen X. It just depends on who you're trying to reach. And also geographic. So your ideal client, are they someone who's local to you? Is it someone in the US or maybe you want to do international? Think about what areas are they in? Maybe they're in more rural communities. And so joining some of those communities out there in the country will be more your ideal client, or maybe urban living, things like that. But the most important is the psychographic. This is where they are in their head. What kind of mental space are they in? A lot of people are in debt but don't acknowledge any problem, right? So you can't necessarily target them if they don't even see it as an issue. But maybe they're stressed about the money, they're stressed about the bills and the payments and all this stuff, and then it's causing issues in their relationship, causing issues at work. That's where they are mentally, they're psychographic. And so where are these people at? Maybe they're joining self-care Facebook groups. Maybe they are willing to join groups for employee wellness programs, things like that. Or maybe they're at the gym. Whatever it is, think about who they are, just really get into the life, their day to day, and that way you can better find them. So, questions to ask whenever you're thinking about leads. Where do they hang out? If it's online, where do they hang out online? Is your audience on TikTok? Is your audience on YouTube? Or do they primarily consume news? Maybe finding leads through partnerships with news outlets will be a good thing for you. Think about what language they're using too. This not only has to do with social media like hashtags and posts and stuff they interact with, but the language that they're using to describe their problem is how you're also going to reach them, right? Because then they're like, oh, I said that the other day. If they're not using financial freedom term, then maybe you don't use that in your messaging to attract your client. But maybe if they talk about how horrible inflation is, think about using those terms to attract those kinds of clients. Some people don't like the word wealth building. And so that may market towards people who are really focused on investments and things like that. And the people who are struggling in debt may not use those terms. So think about what language are they actually using, and you get this from experience or just looking online, market research type stuff. So what do they care about? Who is your ideal client, and what do they care about? Do they care about how much work-life balance and how much pay their job is? Or do they care about career growth? Do they care about autonomy? Do they care about family? Do they care? Think about what they care about. And so you're able to better speak to those clients and find them, those leads and find them. The whole idea with lead generation, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, is we're going to talk about the right lead for you. And you can also find this with who they are already following, right? If you're after someone who has some basis of personal finance knowledge, maybe you go to a community that's also like that. Maybe like Ramsey community where people are asking their questions and they're following a general guideline already. And you can just go there and support and find the people who you can help. So this is just a elaboration on that, an expansion of what we were talking about. What is the client's experience? What are their day-to-day struggles? And I'm going to use these examples in a certain area of personal finance just because it's a little easier for me. Think about like, are they talking about not being able to fill up their gas tank the whole way because they don't know if they have enough in their bank account? Or are their day-to-day struggles constantly fighting with their spouse about spending decisions or what the kids will do for extracurriculars? And think about where do they spend their time? Do they spend their time a lot on their phone, or do they spend their time doing kids' activities and sports events and things like that? And what words are they using? Actual words. And just talking to clients on social, talking to leads on social media, or just people in your life. There's probably a few people in your immediate network, your friends or family, who would be a potential client, but maybe not your potential client, but you can still get information from them. That's the market research to know how to best speak to your ideal clients. And so we're talking about qualified leads too. Sam, do you want to take this? You want me to take it?
It's perfectly fine. You can take it.
So qualified lead, this is so important to understand because there are a lot of people looking for your service. Absolutely. If you're a health coach, there are a lot of people that want to lose weight, but maybe not the way you're going to instruct them to lose weight. Maybe not with the workout plan that you have, or maybe just the personalities are different. The same thing with financial coaching. A lot of people can exist on a spectrum of personalities, disc profiles, if you know what that is may not work well with all of them, or you can work with them, but maybe they're not your ideal client. And so, really vetting your leads is so important to find the right clients. So, qualified leads are prospects you've vetted, determine. Hold on, sorry. This thing was in the way. Qualified leads are prospects who have been vetted and determined to be more likely to become customers or clients compared to others. They often meet specific criteria that indicate they have a higher chance of converting, such as having a budget, authority to make purchasing decisions, and a defined need for your solution. For me personally, a qualified lead is not someone who is making $30,000 a year and can't afford rent. I have zero idea how I can help them other than to encourage them to get a job, right? And maybe that is the framework I take, but I just haven't had enough experience and confidence in other testimonials to know that I can best serve this client. And so perhaps another coach or another program would best serve them. And so really understanding qualified leads will help whenever you're doing your consult calls, whenever you're doing your sales calls and all that stuff, because you want someone who's coachable, who's ready to buy, who understands the value of what you're offering, or at least willing to hear the value of your offering. Not saying it's impossible if they're not, but that just you do more work on the back end with your consultations. And so the lead generation slash nurturing process. We're going to talk about the different levels of leads because they exist on a spectrum. And I say they like the leads, and we need to really personalize it. Leads are people, right? With experiences. We have been leads for other companies. And so really tapping into your own experience will help a lot. So what are cold leads? They've shown some interest in your product or service, but have not really been engaged or qualified any further. They may have interacted with some content, something, or things like that, and they haven't really said, "Hey, I want a service," or even sometimes even less than that. They have no idea what your service is, and so those are cold leads. And so warm leads show some interest beyond the general curiosity. Engaging more in the content when you're saying comment down below, blah, then they're the ones who are commenting, subscribing, downloading any of your lead magnets and things like that. These warm leads either know who you are and start to trust who you are or already trust the service that you offer. And then the hot leads are ones who are actively looking to make the purchase and are pretty close to making the decision. They just need a little help to navigate that. These are really the ones that book the consultation calls and who are referred through friends or something like that who reach out to you. So the thing about the nurturing process is that a lot of leads do start up cold or maybe warm, and it's your job to get them ready to buy. That's where the creation process happens from a cold lead where you can attract them in to a client that's ready to convert. And all this from cold to hot has to do with trust and your relationship with the lead, especially in the coaching space. Trust in your relationship is the most important thing to show that you can help them get to their outcome. No amount of textbook programming and all this stuff will help you if you can't even connect with the client. And so clients will need to consume your content, know that your intention is genuine, know that you are competent in your skills so that they're ready to buy with you specifically. So, here are just some ideas for lead generation methods. We're going to talk more in depth about them later. And this is just to kind of you started thinking outside the box, right? Lead generation is not just cold calling people or cold DMing people where you're just shooting DMs to 100 different people. Lead generation can look like referrals, people you partner with, or people who you've served already as clients, and they're referring people out to you. You can also do webinars and classes online, in person, and this generates some interest for a free resource you're offering or a low cost resource. And then if they want more, then they reach out for further development along their process, their coaching process. And so lead magnets are similar to that. Lead magnets can be like PDFs, they could be ebooks, they could be webinars, really anything that provides them free value is a lead magnet. And by doing that, then you can exchange that lead magnet for contact information or a connection on social media so that you can continue nurturing that relationship from the cold to the warm to the hot. And then also networking conversations, the people you are around in person, getting to know if you're doing partnerships, maybe you're doing different things like that in the community. Hold on. And just getting to know, maybe networking with a financial advisor will lead to referrals, or maybe going to other events in person or online in groups. You can serve in that capacity. It doesn't have to be social media. So these are just different things to think about. Really getting specific if you're looking at different niches. So if you're looking at serving single parents, well, there's a lot of parent support groups locally and online that you can answer their financial questions that they post and things like that. Or if you're looking to serve young adults in college, then you got to go on college campuses. You got to go in those kinds of groups on those platforms to find the right clients for you. If you want to get really specific, maybe they're young adults who are majoring in engineering. And so, where do they spend their time? Maybe they're not spending their time on Facebook. Maybe they're spending their time on LinkedIn, or maybe they're spending their time on Discord or Reddit and things like that, right? Just really get into the mind and understand who you're serving, what you're offering, and then what they're caring about so you can look at where to reach them. So that's pretty much it. It's a pretty brief overview of lead generation process, but leads are it's a really deep subject, and really getting tactical with it is so important. So that's why we're going to do calls for the next 3 weeks on understanding each of these realms, right? The online space will be next week. Then we're going to do in person prospecting and lead generation, and then going into referrals and collaborations. This will just really get your ideas going on things you can try, maybe push yourself outside your comfort zone. One encouragement I do want to give everyone that watches this recording is that it's going to take probably 10 times the volume as you think it will. If you think that one webinar is going to generate one lead, you need to reset the expectation that maybe 10 webinars will generate one lead that will convert, right? Now, it all comes with practice and doing what works best for you, but you don't know that until you start trying it, until you start putting yourself out there, putting yourself in networking groups, putting yourself on webinars and Facebook groups and all that stuff before you can actually see the results. And that's really it for now. We're definitely going to have more questions and content later on for the lead generation process. But yeah, I don't know if Joey, Sam, do y'all have anything you want to add or questions? And then we can definitely discuss it. Sam, I think you're muted. There you are.
Sorry, my camera was doing the weird light stuff, so. No, I think it's a good overview, right? So, oh, there we go. I can see everybody now. I think it's a good overview. I know everyone's probably really excited to get into like deep dive stuff, but because there's so much involved, I feel like it would be a disservice for us to be like, here's like surface level information for each of these different ways to get clients, right? And so I think the deep dives are going to be the most beneficial, but I think getting the overview and understanding the different types of leads, right? The cold leads, wow, cold leads, the warm leads, the hot leads. That's really helpful in just getting a general sense of how to identify people that you come across and where they fall on that scale. So,
Yeah. I will share one mistake. Well, I made a lot of mistakes when it comes to lead generation, but one of the biggest mistakes that took me a while to realize is that I can't help everyone. And we talked about that in some of the other calls. Thinking I can help anyone and everyone that has a money problem makes it really hard to narrow in who I'm like really trying to message my Facebook posts and things like that too. And I'm just trying to look everywhere, right? You're casting a wide net. And I was going to include a little picture. Well, I'll draw the picture, right? So you're prospecting and stuff like that. So let's see if you can see. So like think about two different targets. Like you have a big target and like these are your ideal leads and clients. You can cast a wide net and hit some of these other spaces who may buy, but the actual pool of people you're wanting to hit is so small. And so maybe your business isn't growing, but maybe you're shooting for a smaller target with a bigger pool of your ideal leads and clients. And then as a result, your business will do better. That's just one of the biggest transitions I had to make. And like I would shoot social media posts to all my friends and family and anyone connected. If you have money problems, message me. I'll do it for free. I'll help you for free. But that becomes very challenging. And we talked about the messaging and offer and all that stuff too already. But narrowing the focus of who I'm trying to reach was scary, is still scary. And saying no to a lot of the potential leads that I could help in practice is also scary because I'm like, that's money left on the table. But if you're saying no to those opportunities, you get to say yes to better opportunities when it comes to leads and prospecting. And sometimes your lead nurturing process naturally vets out the people that aren't a good fit for you too. And so that's definitely a system that I'm working on developing too. So we'll see how that goes, right?
So I had a question about how do you know when someone is not a good fit for you? Like you said, initially you have a lead and you just take anyone that comes in the door, but you also want to focus on the good clients and the ones that are a good fit. So how have you found that that's not a good fit or it is a good fit?
Sometimes the whole process is essentially like you from the point you meet them to the point of the consultation, you're getting to know them. And sometimes you may not even know that until after the coaching relationship too, which is pretty frustrating, right? At any point, if they're like commenting on your posts and things like that, and you're interacting with them there, that could be an opportunity to see where are they in their journey. I'm focusing on the beginner level and they're at the wealth building stage, but they're communicating on there. Maybe that's not a lead that I really pursue with a lot of intention to be for them to become a client. But sometimes that may be seen on the consultation call. They're like, oh, I have some problems and this and that. And they seem like a potential client. But on the consultation call, you can see, oh, not as good of a fit anymore. And then you also have to be ready to say no, even if they're ready to buy. And that one's hard. I'll
Yeah.
say for sure to say no to someone who has the money and is willing to give it to you because you want to be genuine in how you serve them. And it's a delicate balance of knowing your own competencies and trusting them so that you can serve clients, but also knowing the limits of what you can do. As financial coaches, we don't offer financial investment advice and stocks and all that stuff. We can provide some general education, but if someone's looking to be like, "Hey, I need help knowing what to put my money into for retirement," we have to say, I can help you with some of the stuff outside of that, and I can connect you with a financial advisor that'll actually get the specifics. But really, it comes with questions as coaches, just asking good questions to really know who they are, where they're at, and get a feel of who the person you're trying to reach is. And when you're starting to see that in conversation, I don't know if I work best with this client. I don't know if I can best serve them, or I don't even know if they're coachable, right? They can mark all the boxes for being your qualified lead, but they're not even coachable and ready to accept the help, then that could be a sign that now is not the time. It's not a no forever, but it's like at this point in their life, they just may not be ready. So
I definitely agree with that. Asking the right questions is really important, but I also feel like I feel like I get a lot in consultations, and this is why I've had to reverse my mindset on this is I'm very quick to coach in consultations, and I think I've said that before, but certain people just want the answer to the question right then. Like they just want the answer so that they can like move on. To me, that's a telltale sign that they're not really interested in coaching. They just want that one question answered.
Mm.
And I feel like for me, that instantly disqualifies someone. Obviously, I can try to nurture the lead a little bit more, but a lot of times people who just want their one question answered are not really looking for that long-term solution that I would provide. It's more, I just have a quick question and I'm curious if you can answer it for me. And
Hmm.
so a lot of times someone who constantly brings up the same question said a different way is kind of a telltale sign of like they're not really a qualified lead, they're just somebody who has a question that they didn't know where else to get that answer.
On the flip side of that too, we'll have people who are very early and they don't even know what coaching is, but they just know they have a, like you said, they have a question to be helped. And so that may not be an opportunity for you to offer coaching services to them. It could just be, hey, if you want more information and stuff like that, maybe joining my email list or joining my Facebook group, and then having them go through that process of consuming your content, engaging with other people in the community or whatever, or just simply seeing what you have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that those posts, those steps will help them be ready so that they can be coachable and know that this is not just a Q&A journey, but I need someone with accountability, support, and encouragement to get me through to where I'm trying to get to. And so I personally am still working on that lead nurture system, I guess, instead of me doing it one-to-one all the time and following up literally every month, sending a text or giving a call to each client. It's exhausting, it's inefficient. And so I'm in the process of building that system out. So whenever I get that going, then I can have some more clout to speak on that. But I'm just transparency of where we are in our coaching journey and stuff too.
Yeah, I initially started sending individual emails to everyone because I wanted to be personalized, their name at the top. No, it takes, I think it took me 13 hours to send out all those emails. I was just like, no, I'm never doing this again. Now, email list, everyone's on the email list, and everybody gets a lost email. It takes 10 minutes to write it, it gets sent out, and I can see analytics on it too. So like there are some people who open it 4 times and you're like, well, maybe they're more interested in what I'm putting out than somebody who doesn't open it or opened it 1 time. So even stuff like that, looking at the analytics and like your blast emails and stuff can be helpful.
I'm just now building an email list. I'm just getting that ball rolling, so it'll take
Mm-hmm.
some time.
Oh, absolutely. It took me, honestly, it took me 6 months before I started my email list. Like, I was like, do I really have to? But now I'm like, I kind of have to.
Yeah, it's diversifying your lead nurturing process, but in systems that are also efficient. Joey, I am actually curious about, have you seen what kind of interest have you seen with the podcasting stuff that you've been on or with their social media stuff? Are you getting engagement and things like that on it?
I'm getting a little bit of engagement, mostly just from my fellow podcast hosting on peers. They're supportive and they're just excited, but
Mhm.
still haven't had any leads come from it yet. It takes time for all that stuff to propagate. So I did the one of the episodes, and this takes time for people to actually watch it and engage with it. I'm seeing a distinctive delay. So I'll make a post about Monday, Friday financial thing, and then I'll realize that that was like my best performing post of the week, and I'm like, that was just a throwaway thing,
Yeah.
but it's getting engagement, so I just gotta stick with that and be consistent. But so far, it's hard to really gauge. Viewership is, or my network is growing a little bit, and my LinkedIn is starting to take off a little bit, so that's been surprising. But there's a lot of I think there's a lot more activity on LinkedIn than there used to be.
Yeah. Do your leads, the clients that you'd want to work with, do they hang around on LinkedIn? Is the veterans and social workers, right?
I think there's a lot more social worker activity than veterans. Most veterans are transitioning out of the military and then they're looking for jobs right out the service. But it's more social work activity than veterans. But
Well, it's kind of part of that thing we're talking about. Like, where are they spending their time, right?
yeah,
If people are on LinkedIn for professional development and networking connections and all that stuff, perhaps connecting with you would not only help them with their clients and things like that, but also help them as clients too, right?
mm,
So and I think, and what you're doing right now, like very early stages, definitely don't sell yourself short, especially if you see that it's getting views, right?
Mhm.
If it's 30 views or 300 views, I tell this to people all the time. Think about what a room full of 30 people looks like. And you're
Mm.
giving a presentation or you're hosting a conversation in front of them, right? And I used to beat
Yeah.
myself up about it a lot. I'm like, oh, this YouTube video only got 2 views and one of them was mine, right?
Mhm.
It's like that someone else watched that video or at least clicked
Yeah.
on it. And then I have like it's easy to get to fall into those like identity metrics to be like, oh, I need this number of likes and this number of comments and this number of views to be important. But a video that gets 20 views may be more rich in knowledge and the effectiveness of converting than said maybe a throwaway post or a throwaway video that gets 500 views and then 50 likes and things like that. And
Mm.
people may be more inclined to something that's just easy to consume. And
Yeah.
it's having a good mix of it is absolutely important. But I
Mm.
posted a YouTube video about it's just like a quick meal prep thing, like just rotisserie chicken and salad, just like awareness thing of like, you can eat on a budget. It'll be like $3 for a huge plate of salad. It
Mhm.
got like 500 views and some likes and all that stuff. But like, it's just a quick tip. That's what people are interested in. And
Yeah.
then some of my other content that like, I do for the coaching side of things, it's like 20 views, but then someone comments on it or tells me personally, hey, I watched that video. And having someone actually verbalize, I remember this video that you recorded, or I remember this podcast is some of the most rewarding things because then that's how you actually know they're engaged.
Yeah.
I see a lot of content. I watch a lot of content that I don't engage with,
Yeah.
but it's valuable to me. And so
Mm.
trusting that process that you're doing the steps and you're just focused on adding value to their life, then one day they'll be like, oh yeah, I was watching those calls you're doing Sunday mornings or like that.
It's kind of difficult though because like you feel like you're just screaming into the void
Yeah.
sometimes, and you just don't know if you're making an impact. And then, like you said, like, residually, or even like, it might not make an impact right this second, but it could be a year from now, and somebody stumbles upon one of your videos, or they just resonate with it, and so it's really an interesting like trail of content. So interesting to me. Psychology of it. How does one post do really well and another post is just crickets? It's really interesting.
A lot of that also has to do because there are absolutely ways that you can script posts or videos and even like calls like this to keep the engagement. Because this is a small group and we're all pretty tight knit, it's easy to just like kind of like um just have conversations like this. But if you're doing like webinar and stuff, sometimes people check out 2 to 3 minutes in, they're just like, I don't need this anymore, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely strategies to improve that stuff, but a lot of that just comes with time and then continual just like learning and stuff. But I know we talk about it all the time to start messy, to just shoot for the 70% and not for the 100. And you'll learn a lot more that way. And even just like connecting with people and stuff. So some one thing I want to share as an encouragement, and this is like personal experience of where my clients actually came from, right? Not just like theory, but who they actually came from. Both of them were technically referrals. One of them was absolutely a referral. The other one was a paid lead, but the lead I paid for was the person paying for the coaching for someone else. So essentially, they're referring their family member to me for the service, but they're paying for it. And I love referrals. I think referrals are arguably the best type of client to work with because a lot of the trust you didn't have to build for you to serve them, right? Their trust came from another relationship, and because they trust that relationship, they trust you, and they're more bought in and things like that. And the people who are referred statistically also will refer out too, because like they have their network and all that stuff. And so just think about like when someone tells you about a cool restaurant to try out, right? You can have a 5-star restaurant and then a 4-star restaurant on Yelp or whatever. And someone's like, no, I really like the 4-star one over the 5-star even though the ratings say differently, but because you trust that person, you're like, I'm going to trust their opinion. Same thing with movies.
Mm.
Everyone's raving about the new movie. Let's just say Barbie movie, right? If everyone's raving about the Barbie movie, and initially I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's not for me. But then a friend of mine is like, no, you actually have to watch it because
Mm.
it is good. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot this time, right? So I'm moving some of my business stuff towards referral in that process for that kind of lead generation because historically it's been a little better for me, not always for everyone, but it's just kind of an idea of focusing referral incentives, things like that too.
I agree with that. Both of my three, no, I have three clients that came from FPU classes. One of them is like what a nightmare client. If I'm being completely honest.
Nightmare because like your relationship with them, or nightmare the situation they're in.
No, nightmare my relationship. Just as soon as FPU was over, they just like disappeared. And then they came back. And then this is a client that contacted me 2 months ago or something to do coaching again. And then I set up the consultation and I waited for like 20 minutes on the call. The call's 20 minutes, he didn't show. And I was like, I just sent him an email and I said, I don't think this relationship is beneficial. And so, like, good luck. I don't know. But I have two clients now. One of them is my ideal client. They are just like my shining stars and whatever. These people literally sold their house. Did we talk about this? I rave about them all the time. These clients literally sold their house because they were like, I'm house poor. And so now they're in an apartment, but they are starting completely over, but they're so committed to it. And it's just like, my gosh, who are you? You are just like a dream human being. So I've asked them for referrals, and so they're going to start sending me a few referrals and stuff, which is nice because then they're going to send me people who are very much like them, and I'm like,
Right. Be a good fit for you and for everybody, and then you get that warm or that's a hot lead at that point, wouldn't it be?
Pretty much. You just have to know you as a coach, like you personally, but it's like my shining star client or whatever. I talk about her a lot because she's doing really well. She came through a friend of mine from work. And whenever I talk to that friend from work, I can tell she's kind of hearing me about the business stuff, but she actually does listen. And I find out that she is talking to people outside about the business, right? And so she was talking to her friend who's going through some student loan stuff. Who's now my client. Is like, hey, just I want to connect you with a friend of mine. She actually texted me. She was like, hey, Teddy. So I have a friend who may be interested in your services, but I need to really know that you can help her. I don't want to jeopardize the relationship and all
Mm,
this stuff. I got you. Okay. I'm not trying to be sleazy and sell. I'm really here to serve her. And she was like, all right, because if you mess up, if you like, I'll come after you. But yeah, it's been awesome. She cut up her credit cards, getting a lot of this introspective stuff with her budgeting, looking at new jobs that are gonna 2 to 3x her income. It's crazy. But that one friend from work, having that conversation with her and like texting her and sharing the stuff I'm doing for the business. And now I hear that like he's talking about the business to other people. And then I have another person, I'll just keep it as like, I guess possible in case they ever see this video.
mhm.
But people who I never even thought to talk to about the business, he's doing it on my behalf. Right.
Nice.
And even if they don't become clients, having that relationship with people of different social circles and really it being a domino effect, I'm really looking forward to the referral one because I'm making some changes for my referral process, significant financial incentives for clients to refer, not just like, hey, $50, but like $300 to $400 in like credits and things like that of offering. That's just some stuff I'm throwing up in the air though, but
honestly, I really feel like agreeing, well, not agreeing, but definitely agreeing with what you said is referrals are the strongest leads you can ever get. And so, like, you make the impression on people, right, that they're talking about your for example. My mom talks about my business to literally everyone she knows. When they, because it's all I talk about. So when people ask about me, she's like, "Oh yeah, the business," and then people talk about it, and I have people calling me being like, my gosh, like starting a business, how's it going? And they're asking questions and they're curious, and so referrals seriously are the best. But even getting, I think what I'm trying to focus on now is creating, and this will be like more, we'll get deeper into it. What is it, the 13th of July?
I think
I don't know
so.
if I'm going to be here for that one, but I'll try to be. Is creating professional networking and referrals that way. I'm gonna
Mhm.
start calling more mortgage loan originators and just pitch it because the worst they can say is no. Because I spoke with one of them at a networking event I was at, and they were like, yeah, every 6 in 10 people we see in a week are denied for a loan. I'm like, well, that's 6 people that you can send my way. So, and it's also like they can make the investment because obviously if they're buying a house, they have, and then it's okay. I know their goal is they want to buy a house. I already know going
Yeah.
that call that they want to buy a house, that's their goal. So what can I do to make sure that they can buy their house or qualify for their mortgage by in their timeline? It realistically, of course, but so stuff like that is a good way of networking and getting referrals too. Is just thinking of certain professionals who you might be able to get more qualified leads from.
Well, I'm absolutely excited for the next weeks because
Mhm.
doing deep dive stuff is really fun to talk about. Otherwise, this call would go for like
At least 2 hours.
So hopefully Stella and Gareth are able to make it on the next ones too. But I mean, they're gonna have this recording to catch up to. But y'all have any other questions or things you want to add before we sign off?
No,
I'll have a
just
better mic.
okay, nice. Just keep fighting the good fight, and I just can't wait to see what you guys put up for next week.
Awesome. I'm excited. I love this community and definitely where we're going and where we're growing and in each of our coaching practices, right? So definitely keep sharing your wins. If you're watching the recording, go ahead and drop it in the community or in our group chat. That way we can just celebrate with one another. But yeah, until then, just like Joey said, keep killing it, keep grinding, and then with time, you'll start to see fruits of labor, right? All right, y'all, have a good rest of your Saturday. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. And if you want more content like this, there should be a box right here or one over here to subscribe. My goal really is to help change your life. And if this YouTube channel can do it, I will be super honored to be that part of your journey.